Hello everyone, I have created this particular video for all the aspirants who want to know something about financial sector or economy, and particularly about the MSME and startup. So this particular video is related to the MSME, the difference between the MSME and startup. So let's begin. MSME means micro and small enterprises. It is registered under MSMED Act 2006. That is a prerequisite to get registered as MSME or to qualify as an MSME. On the other hand, startup is defined by DPIIT's notification dated 19 Feb 2019. So this is the last startup notification, which says that there are certain rules and regulations which qualify an entity to be qualified as startup, and there are certain threshold which we will discuss. For MSME, there are two thresholds. The first is investment and second is related to the turnover. They need to both the thresholds they need to satisfy to qualify as an MSME. Whereas for startup, majorly there is only one limit related to turnover, that it should be less than 100 crore, then it will qualify as startup. Turnover limit for MSME is 250 crore, and this excludes export turnover. Whereas in this 100 crore, which is for startup, it includes all types of turnover, be it export turnover or domestic turnover. It will be inclusive of all the turnover, whereas this export turnover will be excluded. Investment ceiling for MSME is rupees 50 crore. That is the maximum investment. Beyond that, you will not be qualified as an MSME, and there is no such ceiling for startup under the latest startup notification. As you can see here, this table, earlier in the budget itself, they have revised the limit that for micro enterprises investment is 1 crore, for small is 10 crore, for medium enterprise 50 crore. That is maximum. But now, however, this stands revised to 125. Whereas turnover is 550, 250 for micro, small and medium respectively, which has further revised in this budget 2025. So we need to know that now the maximum revised limit for investment is 125 and turnover is 500 crore rupees. So hope this is clear. And both the investment, this is and, it's not or, this is and. You need to certify both the limit, then only you will be classified as an MSME. Now, one more of a qualitative characteristics in MSME startup, that MSME is simply an MSME if it is meeting to the norms of turnover and investment, then it is an MSME irrespective of any business model. Whereas startup, there is a business model that a startup should work toward the development of a product or process and have a scalable business model with high potential for the creation of wealth and employment. This is more of a very subjective and at the time of very qualitative definition. So let's know what is the definition of innovation. Innovation is to convert the tangible outcome, to convert an idea into tangible outcome, to solve the problem and enhance the efficiency. Whereas scalable means a startup can be said to be scalable if it can efficiently or rapidly expand them to meet the increasing demand without proportionate increase in resources or cost. So that is the innovation and definition of scalable. So it has to solve the problem of people at large, then only it will be known as innovative. At the same time, it should be scalable and innovative at the same time. Status, MSME status will continue as long as these thresholds limits are not breached or they are not exceeded. Then till then it will be there. Whereas for startups, simply only for 10 years. But say before 10 years your turnover exceeds 100 crore, then prior to 10 years also you will not be called an, or the enterprise will not be called an startup. Registration, this was earlier discussed that it is registered under MSME Act. However, you need to provide the registration that is called an Udyam registration, that is there. Whereas in the case of startup, you need to file an application to DPIIT for recognition as a startup. Now, what are the benefits? The most crucial part that everyone need to know, that for MSME, what are major benefits or what are major government schemes or initiatives. For in case of MSME, there is the CGT MSE scheme, under which 5 crore, now it stands revised to 10 crore in this budget 2025, whereas collateral free loan up to rupees 5 crore can be provided by a bank to an MSME, wherein the guarantee coverage will be 85%, means the organization which is issuing this credit guarantee trust, this credit guarantee trust is there, that is the organization. The credit guarantee trust will provide the coverage of 85%. Suppose a bank, you are a MSME, you are approaching a bank for 3 crore loan. The bank may give you 3 crore term loan, collateral free, and instead of collateral, the CGT MSE will provide guarantee to the extent of 85%, means 85% of 3 crore rupees. So it's up to banks. For remaining 50%, they may ask collateral, but they can also provide collateral free loan up to that 3 crore, or as per the policy, it's 5 crore, which stands now revised to 10 crore rupees. Then Mudra loans are there up to 10 lakh, Shisu, Kishore, Tarun, under the, so maximum is 10 lakh per MSME. Whereas credit link capital subsidy, for capital subsidy means for some plant and machine, some asset creation is going to be happen, then 15% subsidy or rupees 15 lakh, whichever is lower, that will be provided. Then trade facilities are there. Trade facility is more of a bill discounting, wherein your supplier will get this registered on trades platform, and all your bill raised against that supplier will be discounted by the trade platform. As of now, government has stated all the CPSEs or PSUs with turnover above 250 crore, they are required to be registered on trade. And on the initiative front, says that at least 25% of the procurement by the government should be from MSME. It has been mandated by the government, and all the loans to MSME, they classify under PSL irrespective of the amount of loan. Where in case of startup, there is credit guarantee startup scheme, wherein collateral free loan up to 20 crore will be provided by National Credit Guarantee Trust, NCGTS, wherein again guarantee cover will be there up to 85%, but only for the loan of 10 crore. Beyond that, the guarantee cover will be 75%. So it will be up to the bank whether they provide you collateral free loan or say a limited collateral of say 20 to 25%. PSL, in case of PSL, only loan up to 50 crore to startup will qualify, or who conform to the definition of MSME, means it should be an startup who is also an MSME, then up to 50 crore that will qualify the PSL. Then there is the Startup India Seed Fund by Government of India, wherein financial assistance for proof of concept, a prototype, or your research and development, this product marketing and commercialization, up to 5 crore the Startup Seed Fund will provide you. Then there is a multiplier grant scheme for startup by Department of Electronics and IT to empower collaborative research and development among industries for the growth of goods and services. So maximum 2 crore per project will be provided, and the duration of that project should be 2 years. So these are some of the benefits or some of the initiatives by government to support the MSME and startup culture in India. Eligible organization under, if you see MSME, it will be partnership firm, proprietorship firm, LLP, private company, public company, AOP, association of person, Hindu undivided family, body of individual, cooperative society. Any types of these legal entities, they can be MSME, but whereas only registered partnership firm, LLP, or a private company will be eligible for startup status. But there is more to startups. This was more on the bank loan and this part, which is, as we can see, it is favoring more to MSME as of now. But government has given incentive to startup more in the form of tax incentive. So let's discuss the tax incentives which is not available to MSMEs. So first and foremost, there is a tax holiday available to startup. There is no tax holiday available to the MSMEs. Under section 80 IAC of the Income Tax Act, any startup which is an LLP or private limited company, they are given a tax holiday of up to 3 years. Now, if a registered partnership firm that is in a startup, it will not be eligible for tax holiday under section 80 IAC. So let's discuss what is section 80 IAC. 80 IAC says of the Income Tax Act says, which introduced in April 2017, it implies that an eligible SEC, eligible means LLP or a company, who makes profit can claim 100% tax for any 3 successive years. Means out of 10 years, because after 10 years you will not be in a startup. So when you are a startup for initial 10 years, then for any 3 consecutive years, say 3rd, 4th or 5th or 1st, 2nd or 3rd or 7th, 8th or 9th, that is on the choice of a startup. For any 3 successive years, they can avail the tax exemptions under section 80 IAC. 80 IAC of income tax offers tax incentive to the companies or LLPs that are eligible startups involved eligible business. So what is an eligible business? Eligible business is more of business wherein the profits or gains are derived from innovation, development, improved product or service, or scalable business model with a high potential employment generation. It's not that the startup is deriving income from some other sources, then this will not be eligible. The income should be derived from the eligible business only. So in budget 2025, the deadline for the incorporation for eligible startup, it has been raised now. Earlier it was 2025. Now all the startup which gets registered or given the this status of startup by 2030, they can avail the benefit of tax holidays. So it's a very important point for the startup ecosystem. Second point is angel tax. MSME, there is no such exemption for MSME, whereas in case of a startup, means an investors who invest in a startup will be, or that startup will be enjoying the angel tax. Now the startup private limited companies, they are exempted from angel tax if the investment made or to be made by all the investor including family friend does not exceed 25 crore. So let's discuss what is the angel tax first, so the concept will be more clear to us. Companies whose shares are not available for buying on the stock market that receive funding from investors must get the valuation of the shares properly done. If the issuance of shares exceeds the fair value of shares, then the tax is levied on the excess amount at the rate that is 30.90%, and that this is called 30.90%. Now most of this startup, they are unlisted only. So say they get their valuation done, and the valuation of a startup is 20 crore, and they issue equity shares say of 30 crore, but the value of equity is only 20 crore, which is derived by a independent market valuer. So 10 crore is received in excess of the market value. So that 10 crore will be taxed. Company has to deposit that 10 crore, and that means tax on that 10 crore, that will be 3 crore 90 lakh. 3 crore 90 lakh has to be, 3 crore 9 lakh has to be deposited to the income tax in the form of income tax or this angel tax. So that was more of a loss to the startup, because at that initial phase when they required capital, and a major chunk of their capital was going in the form of tax. But the primary objective of angel tax is to prevent the money laundering. But the India is a developing country, it needs to support the startup. So since this was a drawback, because angel tax caused startup to lose a significant chunk of their investment, that is almost 30.90%. So in budget 2019, angel tax exemption was given, but the only condition was that startup should be registered with DPIIT, and after issuing the share, the startup's maximum paid up capital, including the share premium, should not exceed 25 crore that we discussed earlier. So whatever startups they are getting, they will not be required to pay angel tax on that, but that is not the case in MSME. If you invest in MSME, there is no such exemption available to you to the MSME as such. But in case of startup, yes, they are exempted under this particular section 562 of Income Tax Act 1961. Point number 11 on capital gain, no tax exemption that is available on MSME, whereas in under section 54 GB means if you sell some of your if an investor sells some of your properties and infuse that property in the form of equity in a startup, then he will be eligible to claim the deduction under section 54 GB. So that is also available to startup. So in the form of taxation, you see the major benefit has been transferred to startup, whereas bank loans, schemes, government initiatives, they are more beneficial to MSMEs. So if you are both MSME and startup, you can avail both the benefits. You can avail loan, you can avail collateral free loan from bank under the credit guarantee scheme. At the same time, if you are also a startup, then you have so many tax benefits also. Now reconstruction and splitting entity will be an MSME even after splitting up or reconstruction, whereas this is important for a startup. If a company gets splitted or reconstructed, then it will not be eligible for a startup even though it is meeting other conditions. So hope the difference between MSME and startup is clear, and this is a very crucial topic when it comes to the financial sector or economy as a whole. Thank you. We will meet in next video. Till then, bye.